Okay, hello everybody. Keith told us not to introduce ourselves, so I won't. Name and affiliation is on the screen. This talk is about troubleshooting, sort of. I would like to, this is actually relevant because it shows the size of our organization in number of APs. About 3,500 APs distributed all over northern Norway and several wireless controllers. And this may not be so relevant, is the distance in, well, just for information, the distance between Bodø in the south and Kirkenes in the northeast is comparable to the distance from Prague to Brussels by air. On the ground, it's a different story. The shortest route goes via Sweden and Finland. In this environment, I was unhappy with the vendor's tools to look into information about the wireless infrastructure, APs and clients. So I wrote my own tools. There's 3 of them. AP list shows information about APs. Depending on which options you use, you get different information subsets. And the other 2 shows information about clients. One from the perspective of user ID, and the other from the perspective of an AP with its associated clients. And for most of the rest of my talk, actually I aimed for a 10 talk for this one, but I concluded that I should work on my marketing skills. I should dumb them down, which is going to be hard. So I'll let you decide what I should I do the slides or should I do a demo? The ones who want to see the slides, can you raise your hand? And the ones who want me to do a demo? Yay, demo it is. You can see this if I blow it up. You can see it even better. Now, the first tool is to list APs. And there's a number of options. I'll show them each. First, if you started with no options, it will show you the APs that with the name that match the string. And here you can see there's a number of them. I should point out that our APs are named geographically. So the first part of the name is which building it's in. Second part is room number, and then there's mostly a sequence number within that room. So I have prepared to show you APs from what did I do there?
Not clear.
Oh, clear. Sorry. AP list. We're in demo mode. A2. Okay, I had a C too much. The N options show the number of associated clients. to the AP. The P option, this vendor has something it calls the number or the poor SNR clients, which is clients that are deemed to have an SNR that is poor by some measure. So this is a quick view of clients' distribution across FP1, which is the first building in the research park, and the A wing, second floor. I'll go through a number of these options here. C gives you channel information. The second column is the number of radios. It says it's 2 radios on each access point. And in each parenthesis, you'll see information pertaining to one of the radios. The first line here is it big enough? You see it? Yeah. The first here is, the first radio is on channel 64, power level 6, which for this radio is 2 dBm. The second radio is on channel 132, also power level 6, but this time power level 6 means 8 dBm. Lower down here you have some of these APs are actually on 2.4 channel. So it's, yeah. Next option is X, which includes the information from the C option, but gives data on the utilization. In addition, the X for TX, RX. I ran out of, or I used the U option for something else. And again, for a parenthesis for each radio. This is the first radio. Utilization on channel 64 is 2%, of which this radio contributes nothing, either on TX or RX. Same for channel 132. If we look at some lower down, you can see channel 11, we're on the 2.4 gigahertz. There is 35% utilization, but this radio does not contribute. And at the end of each line, there's this air quality metric. That is, it's a number between, probably between 1 and 100. I've never seen it very low, but the maximum 100. Oops, what did I do now? There it is. Maximum 100, and this one scores on 99 on both its radios. Next option out is IE. I use both options here to shorten it out. It's the IP address and Ethernet hardware address on the AP. H for hardware. Nah. And you see the model and the serial number of each AP. T is a bit more interesting. T for twisted pair, TP. You see the switch and the switch port that the AP is hooked up to. So if you want to reboot the switch, you reboot the AP, you log into the switch, take the interface up and down, provided it's PoE powered. But you also see the communication status of that connection. all these, it's a little boring perhaps, they're all good. They're all on gigabit, full duplex, and they're drawing full power as they should be. The last switch is U for uptime. And it shows both the system uptime and the uptime of the management or the communication channel to the access point. Next is AP user. Again, some options. Without options, it shows this. This particular user has currently 3 devices connected to the wireless. You see the MAC address, the user ID, access point, SSID, and in parentheses, there's the RSSI and SNR. Some of you might comment that this is not actually MAC addresses, but they're not usernames either. The thing is, as I told you, our APs are named geographically. And if I showed you somebody's smartphone, which AP it's connected to, you could say be very certain that that person would be close to his iPhone or smartphone. So I didn't feel very comfortable with displaying publicly the whereabouts of our users, or some of them. So I implemented a scrambling function, and that's what you're seeing here. Option T for type. Two information bits. One is what kind of device the controller thinks this is. The other is the chipset, Wi-Fi chipset vendor. The OUI is looked up. And again, the information, in principle, MAC address, and the real AP and communication parameters. B for bitrate. You get information about the MCS rate and the spatial streams for each of these devices.
Point of view.
Sorry?
Whose point of view? From the controller?
Yes, so from the controller, yes. But the spatial streams is, of course, on the device, so it has to look it up from the probe response. I'm suffering from a slow line here, or long round trip time. R for retries. And I took the effort of actually computing the percentages. Both the numbers and percent numbers. Next option is similar. It's no, not B. It's D, duplicates. when the AP receives the frame from the client, it sends an ACK. If it, after it has sent an ACK, gets a duplicate of that frame, it means the ACK never reached the client. This is a count of that. And again, we have I and U, which is the IP address and uptime. Of course, for all these commands, you can combine the options use to get it all together. But if you're on a normal computer with a larger screen, you can just use the A option, and it gives you everything in one line. But here, it looks a bit messy. Okay. Then there's the AP clients. Again, a number of options. I'll pick a access point that usually has some clients. By the way, if you don't specify the access points precisely here, it's going to show you which access points match. And actually, there's nothing here that you haven't seen already, but I'll walk through it. It's first is some information about the access point. It's the same that you get with the relevant options from AP list. And then for each radio, the first radio here, again, you get the information from AP list. Second radio here, it's actually using an 80 megahertz channel. We don't usually do that. And you see the air quality for each of those 20 megahertz slots. And the same information that you've seen already from the AP user command for each client associated to that radio on that AP. I'll just briefly go through the options. Typo device, 2 Apples and a Samsung. Their bit rates, MCS values. Retry rates, duplicates, not much. And IP address and uptime. That worked well. Now back to the rest of the slides. A couple of examples of how we have used this. We have integrated it into our speed test. We have an internal speed test, more or less like the one on the WLAN Pi, but with a twist. When you start a speed test, it starts with this window. If you run a speed test from a wired host, you get the normal results and IP address. But if you run it from a wirelessly connected host, you get extra information about the wireless connection from your client. Up front, you get single strength and SNR. If you click on that Show Details button, you get which access point are you on, the MAC address of the client, your MCS rate, or the MCS rate that the AP uses to send to you, your PHY, SNR, spatial streams, SSID, and your uptime. This is also logged, syslog. So I frequently use it when I get troubleshooting cases, because not only can I go in the logs to see or to get some information about how was the client doing at the time. I ask users to do this whenever they experience Wi-Fi problems, if possible, if they can get connected at all. In the logs, not only is there information about the wireless connection, but I also get a reasonably good timestamp. When did it occur? And the access point, in which area was the problem. And there's also I like to think at least that there's a small psychological advantage to it as well, but as it's something the users can do, not just call the help desk and complain about the Wi-Fi, it sucks, we all know that. But here's something you can do to help us troubleshoot, and if you want, you can learn something from it as well. Next case, Ethernet issues. This is rather small, perhaps, but oops, I can't do that, can I? No.
It's okay.
Okay. I ran the AP list command with the T option, twisted pair, and I screen or exclude anything but the good ones. So this command on our installation with 3,500 APs, it runs for half an hour. I go for a cup of coffee or something, come back, and there's 40, 50 possible problem areas on my screen, and I know where to investigate for wiring problems. The next one is maybe a bit more well, it's something I'm considering. We're running RRM. So our access points land on a channel and a power level. So my theory is that we have 1/3 of a million square meters of buildings spread across the part of the country. So some of it have Wi-Fi or more legacy type installation. Not all of it is very good. So this may be a way to find or an indication of which parts are maybe not so good. If the RRM process lands on high power on all APs in an area, it means it might mean that those are too far apart. You may start looking for coverage holes there and so on. And these are the first one is all radios are on power level 1, high power. And the other one, the next example has had the power level reduced. So it might be an indication of the quality of the AP installation or the wireless network in that area. Currently, I'm looking into if that has some, how good that indication might be. There are some drawbacks. The SNMP implementation on the controllers, they update the OID values every 3 minutes, so it's nothing to use to get a very detailed graph of traffic levels or whatever. It uses vendor-specific MIBs, so it is vendor-specific. There's rumors that the SNMP implementation on the controllers is not exclusive. Well, the quality has been questioned. And there's always this, it could have been I use SNMP, which is a 25, 30-year-old protocol. Nowadays, people talk about other things. Okay, that's what I got.
Great, thank you.